and the set menu looks fantastic.
Yeah. What's different from what we drank last night?
We've got different vintages and different ranges. So we do have the GSM from last night and the Shiraz.
Okay.
But included today we've got the Cabernet Sauvignon, and we also have the Heathcote Shiraz. Langmore Creek Shiraz, sorry.
Okay.
And we've got the little Sauvignon Blanc to start with.
Okay.
So the Savvy we did have last night as well. So
That was
the first one.
The first one.
First one. The second one was the Sem Sav Blanc.
Yes.
That worked really well. So, well, no, did I have
No.
the
We
other way
should
around?
sit.
Yeah, this was Sauvignon and that is Sem.
So this is the Sauvignon Blanc, right?
Yeah, that's Sauvignon Blanc.
But different vintage, yeah? We had 2016 yesterday.
That's This is me then, I guess. Yep.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers, yeah. Cheers.
Good health. To good health. It's quite fascinating, really. I mean, we're talking 2014 vintage, Sauvignon Blanc. So we're 3 years in the bottle.
Yeah.
And without those, I mean, Australia, for the most part, we're always compared with New Zealand for Sauvignon Blanc, and it's quite unfair. New Zealand, Marlborough have the ability to get increased levels of methoxypyrazines in their wine, and it's charted. It's far superior to what we can do out of the Adelaide Hills. In saying that, I don't know if those methoxypyrazines age very well. So, with no disrespect to the Kiwis at all, but Sauvignon Blanc, 1 to 2 years after the vintage is done, it turns in the bottle a little bit. No one really likes drinking aged Sauvignon Blanc. However, when we're dealing with the Adelaide Hills for us, which has got those lower levels of methoxypyrazines, and we go to a riper period, a riper style, a couple of years in the bottle, this wine looks fantastic still. So, yeah.
And it doesn't happen with this
Sauv Blanc?
Yeah.
No, so not when they've got methoxypyrazines. You kind of break them down to 4. We call it flavours. We've got tomato stalk being one. You've got like passion fruit character, gooseberry, and tomato stalk. And I think it's capsicum, like a bell pepper, is the other sort of prominent methoxypyrazine. Don't quote me on it because all my Kiwi mates that I studied with will just tear me to shreds for not remembering it. But New Zealand have, especially Marlborough, have extremely high levels of these compounds in their grape skin. So when they ferment it, they get lifted aromatics, like quite lifted aromatics of like that tomato stalk and passion fruit gooseberry in particular. Whereas Australia, we don't have those high levels of compounds in the grape itself. So that's why we can't make Marlborough. In the Adelaide Hills, we do our own style. A couple of years in bottle, a Sauvignon Blanc like that Marlborough, for me it turns a little bit on the nose. Whereas this aromatic white wine, we're now talking 3 years in bottle, and the wine is still very sound and enjoyable. So just different styles. Appreciate them for different reasons.
Good to know.
I think it's good that you've got the cooler climates in Adelaide Hills, and as you say, the turn in the bottle gives it a very different tasting from the immediate attack that you get in the Marlborough at a high pH level. You know?
Yeah, well, it kind of takes it from all about the aromatics and just the smell to more about the palate, which is, for me, that's what wine and food matching is
more
about.
voluptuous wine.
Yeah, it's a lot fuller, isn't it? So we're talking cool climate in the Adelaide Hills, we're talking like 4 to 500, 5 to 600
Where in the
metres.
Adelaide Hills did you
Source the fruit
source this grape from?
So the fruit's all sourced from the Nepenthe site. So Nepenthe is our sister winery in the Adelaide Hills. So most of the Sauvignon Blanc I take off that site.
I was just wondering how you managed to do it. You've got to have a winery down there.
Yeah, we actually we dejuice. So transporting.
Well, what's the name of the winery again?
Nepenthe.
Nepenthe.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nepenthe. James Evers is the winemaker there.
Okay.
And he basically processes the fruit for me. So we have our blocks set aside.
Are they nearby the blocks?
Yeah, nearby to
Okay.
to the Nepenthe vineyard. Yep.
Okay.
So what happens is he then I'll organise harvest with him.
Okay.
He processes the fruit down there.
And what year is this?
So this is actually 2014.
Okay.
And what happens is we separate the juice from the skins.
Okay.
Settle it out.
Okay.
Make sure there's the right preservative
Okay.
and all the acid levels and everything's right. And the wine's out. And once it's all ticked off, and I've agreed with James, we send a truck. The truck picks it up and brings it up refrigerated.
Okay.
So,
Was it a particularly early harvest? At
for
about
the
the right time? Or?
2014 was a pretty spot on vintage everywhere. I was actually explaining to Jerry before, it was one of the nicest vintages I ever worked in the Hunter.
Okay.
And although we've probably got more claim to fame for that vintage in the Hunter Valley than elsewhere in Australia, it doesn't mean elsewhere in Australia wasn't very good as well. We just happen to have an excellent vintage. But the 14 growing season, or the 14 harvest was fantastic.
You're in the northern Hunter Valley, are you?
It's more the southern
Okay.
Hunter Valley.
Okay.
There's not much left in the north.
It's all been decimated, isn't it?
Well, it's
By
been,
departing winemakers.
yeah, but well, it's more been turned back into more profitable business ventures. A lot of the time, growing grapes isn't. It's more love than it is for.
So all this tax
finance.
scheme by the bid street farmers and
Yeah. So what happens is a lot of those vineyards have been converted back into farms, like cattle farms or horse studs, and some of them have even been sold to the mines because they're.
Did the government give a subsidy to pull out the grapes like they did?
I think they did many years ago. It was before my time, but there was a big vine pull. I do remember reading about it during my studies.
Yeah.
But,
About 60 years ago.
yeah, we're in a stage in the Hunter now that unfortunately I don't think there's enough left under vine. So we almost need to start putting it back in.
So Greg Norman still has got his estate and winery.
Yeah, Greg Norman still has the vintage there. Yeah, it's probably one of my favourite places to play golf, namely because I slice the ball a little bit and it plays into my slice. So the other golf course down the road is.
Well, he picks it up, driving from up on top, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, funny you say, because I actually think that was one of Greg Norman's first designed golf courses in the vintage. I think it was one of his first entrants into designing a golf course. But so it plays into my slice a little bit. But if I go up the road to Cypress Lakes, which is another wonderful golf course, it kind of plays to a draw a bit more. So
okay.
I'm terrible. I always end up in the water in the woods. That could be to do with the glass of
Are
wine.
you a left-hander?
I'm a right-hander.
Right. Okay.